interview series. I have invited 11 of my favorite friends in the coaching and experts and online service-based business. Oh gosh, you got me all stumbled, Kat.
It's our outfits. We look so good, it doesn't matter what we say.
Right? Industries. And we are going to talk about how we can continue to lead ourselves, lead our communities, be an innovator in our businesses, and continue to take income producing action. If you are watching the replay of this, just know that right now we are in a period that we've never experienced before in history. I'm not even going to name what it is, but basically, like, our entire world is hunkered down at home. The economy is doing lots of interesting things. And if you're a business owner, you might be in a place where it's like, I don't really know how I'm going to keep growing. Do I continue to ask people to work with me? Do I have to create like really low ticket programs? And that's what this interview series is really about. The people I've invited, they are still taking action. They are making more money now in their businesses than they were prior to what we're experiencing right now. So I'm super excited to dive in today with Kat Stancik. We are going to talk about how to grow our businesses, what to focus on to create a six-figure year. So welcome, Kat. You want to take a few moments and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. So I'm Kat Stancik, the lead boss, and I basically help my clients generate and fill their pipeline with qualified leads in less than an hour a day. So these are the kind of leads that convert fast and who pay high ticket. So, that's where the money's at.
Totally. And I'd love to give people like a little bit of context. So you are a mom. You have got 3 kids. Are they all under the age of like 6?
Yep. 3 under the age of 6.
3 kids under the age of 6. And so you've got a house, like 5 people. You're running the show, running the ship.
Actually, there's 8 people in our house. So our nanny lives with us and her husband lives with us and her 5-month-old, or sorry, she's now 7 months old, almost 7 months old, lives with us. So she, it's like one of those things of side story. I was 8 months pregnant and she like kind of came to me one night and was like, I have something really important. And I'm thinking, oh my God, she's got cancer or her husband has cancer or something like that. And she's like, I'm 3 months pregnant. And I'm like, that changes a lot of things for me because I'm 8 months pregnant and I'm thinking 2 newborns in the house at the same time. So yeah, like it's just I manifested this and I love it. I mean, my kids are home all day. I get to play with them. I get to hear them laugh. She gets to, be with her daughter all day long and still be part of the family. So yeah, there's 8 of us in the house.
I love that. And I love sharing, like, what does life actually look like behind the scenes? I think that's so important, Kat, when you have these types of conversations about making money, because you and I both know what some people think about, or even like you and I might see somebody and it's like, oh, well, easy for her because like she's not married or she doesn't have kids or whatever. So I love hearing that you literally are in a house with 8 people.
Like we almost violate the 10 people or less rule just being in the house.
Oh my gosh. Like you're going to just become like blood relatives just because you're in the same house with each other. So amazing. And you are someone who you've been working on growing your business for a couple of years. You're at a place where you're making consistent 5-figure months at this point. Yeah. And I know you pretty well. You and I are in some programs together. So I have watched you consistently. Like, let me just tell you all about Kat. She was consistently generating a new client, which means new money coming into her bank account every single week. We were in a program together that was 12 weeks and it just ended like a couple of weeks ago. Like queen of consistency here. So like tune in to what Kat is going to talk to us about, because here's the thing, and I bet you see this a lot too, Kat, with your clients, and I want to like kind of kick off our conversation with this. One of the biggest questions I think we hear from any entrepreneur I hear it from people at every level. People who are brand new, people who are already making like high 6 figures, 7 figures. And the question is, and the problem is, I don't know where to find higher quality leads. I don't know where to find more leads. And you are doing that in spades. So can you talk to us a little bit about?
No. Yes.
Let's talk about generating more leads.
No, we're going to talk about everything except that. Yeah. So totally. So here's the thing. so I'm a coach, right? And I am a consultant. So I'm this weird hybrid of I'm going to tell you what to do, but when I see a mindset block, I'm going to help you overcome it. It's kind of the thing where as a coach, I'm like ICF certified and all this other stuff, everyone is naturally, creative, resourceful, and whole. So there's nothing wrong with any of us. It's just that we don't necessarily know how to do something. And when we don't know how to do something, past triggers tend to tell us that you suck. And you just don't know how to do something. We all experienced this in high school where we saw some kid, probably a guy, I'm just gonna say, who came up with like Michael Jordan, I'm like totally dating myself, Michael Jordan jersey and like the new sneakers and like the headband and all this other stuff, went on the court, dribbled the ball, shot I'm so bad with sports stuff, did a layup and completely missed. And it wasn't because he had the stuff. He didn't have the thing, which was he hadn't practiced. He hadn't mastered his craft, and no amount of outward stuff was actually going to help them produce the results. And that's what a lot of people are dealing with, especially when it comes to technology and, Facebook ads. And I'm not here to say like any of that stuff is wrong. It's not wrong, but it's not going to make what you've got going on in your business any better.
Yeah.
Technology amplifies, it doesn't create. So if you're not,
that's a writer downer.
Yeah.
That's a writer downer. I got that from Dan Kennedy. That's a writer downer. Technology. So give a couple of examples of what you mean when you say technology amplifies results.
Right. So if you know how to consistently generate leads, then you're going to know certain components about your business, meaning you're going to know what clients are looking for. You're going to know their pain points in a way that makes them feel like you're in their head, because there's three kinds of conversations people are having. There's the passing each other on the street, like, hey, how's it going? It's fine. When it's not fine. You're not fine right now, but you're saying it's fine because that's that level of conversation. Yeah. There's the conversation that you're having, maybe like this, where we're going a little bit deeper, but we're not having the third level conversation. The third level conversation is the conversation you're having in your head, right? What are you saying to yourself? What are you thinking at 3:00 in the morning? What is that freak out mode? When you have that kind of conversation with your clients, that's when they throw their credit cards at your face. That's when they say, I just need to know how much I need to, and they get resourceful, right? Even if they don't have the money, they get resourceful. They start figuring out where to find the money so that they can invest because they see the value, because you understand them. So when you know those things, then you can leverage technology to amplify those results. So running Facebook ads, for example. So you're going to talk about the pain point. You're going to talk about the desired results that people want to achieve. But if you don't know how to have that conversation in the first place, technology isn't going to help you figure that out. You have to have the conversation with the people, go through the practice, mess up, fall on your face, scab your knees over multiple times so that you understand your client almost sometimes better than they understand themselves.
Yeah. It's interesting because one of the things that I always talk about with my clients is when we're creating content, whatever kind of content that is, that we desire to convert people into a client, I always say you're talking to the person's mind. Yeah. You're talking to what is going on up here first and foremost. And I think part of what happens and what I have seen, and I'm sure we've all experienced this, is there's a part of us that wants everything to happen so fast, and we want everything to be so easy, and we want instant gratification. And when we're thinking about the instant gratification all the time, and that's where our thought life is, then we are skipping so many of the most vital steps. And then this is where we see like shiny object syndrome, where we're hopping from like course to course to course, coach to coach to coach, program to program to program, because they think that what you're talking about, the tactic or the technology, is the answer. And then they plug themselves into it yet again, and yet again, they don't get the results they're looking for because they're skipping these steps. I mean, if you were going to give someone just one step, like one tip, how can they find out what is actually going on in the mind of an ideal client?
So really it's conversation. It's, if someone said no to you, are you willing to go back to that person and say, you know what, pitching's off the table. We're not doing any more sales call. What did you see of value and what didn't you? What would have made it a yes? What would have made it a hell's yes? Right? Because there's a difference there. There's a warm, like, okay, like I kind of see the value, but I'm going to go ahead and pull the money objection. So like 2% of the time is money actually an objection. So that means that if you're hearing, I don't have the money, 90% of the time it's BS. It's because you don't know how to communicate your value in a way that gets people saying yes, right? And you're looking for that hell's yes. So it's practice, it's understanding, it's tweaking, it's modifying. You know, this do it once and forget it. That's what a lot of people think of when it comes to technology. They're like, cool, I'll set up the funnel and I'm going to have all this recurring revenue. Same thing with membership sites, right? You've got to look at your business assets. Do you have the components of your business that support a certain model? If you don't, cool. Like no shame in the game, but then you know where to focus on. Membership site requires a lot of people. You're constantly launching. If you're not someone who wants to constantly launch, it's not going to work for you. I know people with ADD, membership sites are the best friends because it's constantly changing. They can constantly, right? And that fits their persona. And they also have the business asset, meaning they have huge lists, right? Yeah. So the one piece of advice is, you know, it's twofold. One, have the conversation, but two, look at your business. Do you have the assets to support the strategy that you're trying to create? If you don't, like I said, no problems, but then you know where to focus on. But don't say, I'm going to create a, you know, try to get a 2 Comma Club award when you've got 100 people on your list, right? Yeah. That's, it's not congruent. It doesn't align. And that doesn't mean you can't get there, but it's not going to, you're not going to get there in the way that you think you are in the time frame. Like that's the component that people are missing.
Love it. Let's talk about business model a little bit because you were kind of touching on that there. And something that I see a lot are people who are there, they don't realize they're doing this, but they'll come up with new program ideas, but their new program ideas are literally like a total and complete business model change.
Yeah.
You know, maybe, okay, first, like maybe they have like a one-on-one coaching practice at first. And then they want to transition into groups. Fine. I think a lot of us do that. I did that. I know that you've done that. I started out just doing straight up one-on-one, max out the calendar, literally no more room. Okay, great. Let's transition into smaller group programs. So I see people do that a lot, but then either their program doesn't fill or they get really bored or whatever. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to create something that's low ticket because I think I have all these people who need to experience me first for like $47 a month. So I'm going to start a membership site, or I'm going to go create a course so that people can get to know me first. And I'm just going to take like this little piece of what I do and sell it for $3.97. And it literally, it seems like every quarter they're coming up with a new program idea, but it's really what they don't realize is it's like a complete business model shift. And it's to your point, it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, I don't have a membership site, but you and I both have friends that have membership sites. It is a full-time, like 50-hour-a-week job.
I don't want it.
When it comes to generating leads, to me, it seems like it would be harder to generate leads consistently if I'm constantly changing my programs and I'm constantly changing my business model. Would that be true?
Well, consistency is absolutely key. So I know you talk about content in terms of messaging, and I do too. And the thing is that if you're always pivoting, right? If you're always changing because you're not getting the results, a lot of times what people start doing is okay, I'm not getting the results, so I'm changing my offer. Most times it's not your offer that's the problem. It's who you're talking to. It's the audience. So if your offer isn't converting, then you're not talking to the right people. Because I know probably every single person watching this right now is probably pretty kick-ass at what they do.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the problem. The problem isn't you. It's not your offer. It's one of two things. It's who you're talking to or how you're talking about your offer, right? Are you conveying the value so that people say, yes, I want to invest at this higher price point? So perfect example. When I first started my group coaching program and, I sold out my one-on-one and I wanted to do group because I wanted to scale, which I think is a fantastic model. And the process is one-on-one, group, and then a course. A lot of people do it backwards. So, and a lot of people don't even need to do the course component, but you want to make sure that the first two are basically creating 80% of your revenue, meaning that you're beyond covering your basics, that you're contributing to your 401k, right? You're making multiple 6 figures, then add the course. Because the course is not the thing that's going to, kind of create your bread and butter. Yeah. And anyway, so crap, where was I going with this? One of two things. So it's your offer, who you're talking to. So if you're not converting the people that you're talking to, then maybe that you need to elevate who your ideal client is. So are you talking about broke problems to broke people and charging them $10,000? Doesn't align, right? Broke people are gonna have broke problems. So they're going to pay the $47, $27, $97. and you're going to need to have a lot of volume. But if you don't have that asset in your business, then you need to look at what can I provide of value that solves a problem and that people are willing to pay for. So,
okay. So here's something that I hear all the time, Kat.
Mhm.
I want to hear your feedback on this. So something I hear all the time, yes, all the time, is, but the only people, like people literally think that the only people who they can serve are the ones who literally do not have the money and they really are seriously broke.
Roll
And
my eyes.
but it's, and people really think like, you know, I'm only as good as helping this group of people. And so they only focus on those people who are struggling so badly and they literally do not know how they're going to pay their light bill next month. Like, what is that about? I think that's a mindset thing. What do you think that's about?
I think that's self-sabotage. You know, right. So looking at what's your worth. And if you feel that you're not worthy, that you can't actually help a higher level person. So I had this happen to me where, and it can happen at any level of business, right? So I'm earning multiple six figures, like no problem. And I just dealt with this same issue, which was, how can I congruently serve someone who's making more money than me? I'm a big fraud. How can I do that? I'm not making $1 million. Why would I be able to work with someone who makes more than $1 million, $2 million, $3 million? And then I realized that I've got something that they don't, right? And that's what people are paying to get access to. So a lot of times what people are paying to get access to isn't necessarily the system, the process, or even the offer that you're providing. They're paying to get access to you, to your energy, to your essence, because they want more of that in their life. So people who want to work with me are like people who want to take action. They need more energy. They want to go at a faster pace. They want to start growing their business faster. And so they come to me because they see that as who I am and part of my business. Other people who are like, I'm going everywhere. I'm losing my mind. Go to someone who's calm. Who's maybe looks more together, who has an organized desk or whatever. Those are the things they value. So they want to honor their values more. So it's not necessarily about who you are, what you're doing, how much money you're making, but what values are you honoring, and what values can you help someone honor more in their life versus dishonor? Because that resistance, that friction is when your values are being dishonored. So look at that. Look at what is it that you want more of in your life and start looking at the people who embody that fully as part of who they are and their messaging and their branding.
Okay. So once someone really identifies that and they've like really honed in, I think for a lot of people, they really know deep down and they're just dancing around making a decision and totally going for it. So if you're that person listening right now, Kat and I both invite you, like, make a decision today, what direction you're going to go in, with who, and stick to it. So once you've like figured that out, you've nailed it, you've made that decision. Going back to, I've watched you. I mean, I didn't really get to know you until earlier this year, but I knew of you. So I've kind of seen your progress over the last like 6 months to a year. And then when we were in the same program together, and we're in another program together as well, I literally was so amazed by your ability to constantly, every single week, through the power of social media, mostly, I think, I've watched you constantly generating leads, having conversations with the more ideal prospects. Yeah. And you were literally welcoming new clients every single week in your business. And I watched you do it for 12 weeks in a row. So can you give our audience like a glimpse into, because people think, oh my gosh, you must be working 80 hours a week. You must be doing 15 different activities a day. That sounds like hard work. How the heck do you do that? I have a feeling that your plan is pretty simple. Pull back the curtain just a bit and tell us what you're up to over there.
Yeah. So it's all like, it's not like it's one of, so here's the big, I am anti-bro marketer. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and say that there are people out there who are like, if you don't buy my program, you're an idiot. You're the dumbest person in the world. You're going to fail as a human being. That is not me. My first rule is anybody that I work with, and because this is one of my biggest value, it's always from a place of service first. So I am not out there to pitch people, right? We meet him online all the time. He's pitchy Pete. Right? You connect with him. He's like, hey, you have a face, buy my face cream, right? Like not even like 3 seconds. It gives you like PTSD from connecting with them. And then you're like, it makes you hesitate with other people. So it's not about that. And like, there are plenty of like LinkedIn and Facebook people who are teaching that strategy. It is wrong. It is not scalable. And you'll see these blitz, because what'll happen is people will buy it and it doesn't work. And then they come to me and they go, okay, I bought this thing. It doesn't work. How are you different? And here's the answer. It's all from a place of service first. Mm-hmm. Are you actually making a connection and building a relationship? Because that, especially right now, is what people are craving, right? We're socially distant, and now we're gun shy, right? We're like, oh, well, is this person really what they're about? Get to know them, enter their energetic sphere, have a conversation with them. Someone who's willing to invest time with you and being able to give you that aha moment is going to be there for you as a representation of your entire experience with them in the program that you purchase. So my first thing is absolutely about connection and conversation. So actually my 3 phases are connect, converse, and close. Those are the 3 phases. Underneath each of those, I have 3 different modules, but it's really focused on building that relationship with someone. And you saw behind the curtain, which was, I wasn't talking. I like tracked my leads, tracked my sales conversation, tracked my offers. It was almost 100% close rate.
Wow.
Right. And the reason is that I would have 2 leads and I would have 2 conversations and I would close 2 people. I would have 1 lead. I would have 1 conversation. I would close 1 person. It was very, very targeted.
Okay.
And it wasn't.
Point something out here, Kat. Okay, listeners, you did not hear her say, I had 250 leads. I had 50 conversations. I think that's the other thing that becomes overwhelming because of what people are thinking about in their minds.
Yeah.
And people are thinking about in their heads these huge numbers that they have to figure out.
Right.
And they're not at a place where they can even wrap their mind around that. And so then we start telling ourselves like really ridiculous stories that are not even like relevant to where we are in our business right now. So we're listening to someone who's making multiple 6 figures in her business. She is closing 5 figures a month, sometimes 5 figures a week in her business. Mm-hmm. And she's talking about 1 to 2 leads a week. That's not a lot. That's like 4 to 8 people a month. Mm-hmm. That's like under 100 people in a year. And I think when we allow ourselves to chunk it down, mm-hmm. and we stop trying to jump and just think about the big dream. Like, I think people get really stuck in thinking about all the millions of dollars, but we're not even generating like 2 leads a week. So if we're not even at a place where we're generating 2 leads a week and closing those 2 leads a week, $1 million business is like so far-fetched and so far down the road. Like
it's a number on a piece of paper. I don't know how many times have people done that where they've created their $1 million business on paper, but that paper is not the check you can cash at the bank, right? It's not the same kind of piece of paper.
Yeah.
Like consistency, and it all comes down to, and you talked about this, which it comes down to a decision. And I know the difference between me making $14,000 and $60,000 in a quarter. Right? Not to even talk about when I used to make $13,000 a year, right, in my business, was a single decision. It was, I'm going to close someone every single week. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. Closing 1 client every single week, let's say it's 5,000, let's say it's 7,500 times 52, right? Guys, you can do the math. It creates that multiple 6 figures. But when that becomes a non-negotiable, then you can say, I've had weeks where I closed 2 people, right? And it was Tuesday. And I've had weeks where it was coming to Friday. I'm like, book, right? And so I showed up because that was a non-negotiable. It's kind of like eating and drinking water, right? You need it to fill your body. Well, that's what I need in order to have a successful business. That's what I need to provide for my family. And I'm not talking about like getting by, because my people, we don't get by, right? We don't famine. It's always, I'm at this place, I'm at a plateau and I want to feast. Yep. Right. You're going to do what you need to do to quote unquote get by, to make sure that everything is paid and everything is covered. But we're looking at working together to do this, right? To fill that nice gap. Mm-hmm. And that gap is still available to us in this time.
Yeah. Okay. But, I know what people are thinking about.
Yeah.
They're hearing, even now that they're hearing these small numbers, like 2 people a week, 1 person a week, whatever. I know exactly what they're thinking, Kat. Where do you find those people?
First of all, they're already connected to you. So one of the first things that I tell my people is that there's 2 things that people are doing. One, they're leaving clients behind. So think about a time when you reached out to someone to say, hey, I'd like to learn more about your services, ready to buy. And they never got back to you. I just went through this where I reached out to someone. I reached out to 3 people, and I needed something done on a website. I needed a sales page to be redesigned, and I reached out to 3 people. The first person was like totally like not the price point that I wanted to pay, because I had an idea in my head of how much I wanted to pay. The second person basically was like, well, here, you can do it for yourself, and then never got back to me as to when I asked her specifically how much would it be for you to do it for me, and understanding that I would pay a premium. Never got back to me. Like, that's leaving money on the table. And the other person was really prompt, got back to me. I hired her, did a fantastic job. Right. So how many times have you reached out to someone and didn't get back to them? How many times has someone reached out to you and you haven't gotten back to them? You haven't followed up. People are showing interest in what you do all the time, but you're not following up. You don't have a mechanism to activate and keep your leads. Right. And so that's part of one of the things that I make sure that my clients have is a system to hold their leads and activate them on a consistent basis, because you've put a lot of work already in your business to generate leads. But if you're letting them fall through the wayside, then you're wasting your time. And I am not about that. I am all about putting effort into being lazy. Like, number one rule for me, I put effort into being lazy because I like to relax. I like to have massages. I like to veg out on TV, on TV shows and read books that have nothing to do with anything. The second thing is that people are leaving money on the table. And I kind of hinted at it, which is they're not following up, but they're not putting out content that helps people raise their hands. Right. So, are you being relative and relevant? And are you doing the 3 things that your content should do? It should engage, it should entertain, and it should educate.
Yep.
If you're not doing those things, and if you're not being consistent, right? And that includes emailing your list, right? So I don't have one platform that I use. I use Facebook, I use LinkedIn. I post on Instagram every now and then, and I use my email. And I did speaking, but now I do online speaking, right? Because it was in person. But all of those are platforms, but they all follow the same process. I connect with someone. Do I connect with them on LinkedIn? Do I connect with Facebook? Do I connect with them when speaking? I converse with them. The people that I look at qualifiers. Do you have a website? Do you have a social media presence? Are you showing me that you have a business that you take seriously and that you're making money in? Because if your last post was from 2014, you're not taking your business seriously, and you're not going to take me seriously when I tell you what to do.
Exactly. Oh,
right. So like you have disqualified yourself from being my ideal client. So I'm looking to see how you're showing up to see if I can help you, because I cannot help everybody. Right. I can't. And some people who are lower, and I'm not saying it's bad, but yeah, there's certain people I know I can get a really good result for. And that's who I'm looking to help. That's why I have a guarantee, because I know that when you do the work, my guarantee doesn't mean anything, because you're going to get way more than just, your return on investment.
Yeah.
So I look for those things, and then I start the conversation, and I'm not a pitchy Pete. Where can I add value? Hey, did you know that you had this thing that was wonky on your website? Or, hey, did you know that if you use this thing more effectively, you could actually generate more leads? And people go, oh, thanks. And they're willing to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then I basically connect with them, and then I move them strategically through conversation into a sales call. But it's always with permission, and it's only when it's right. And I don't never know. There's always a sales transaction happening. So it doesn't necessarily mean that someone has to buy from me, but you may be connected to someone who may. You may know a speaking opportunity that I could take advantage of. I may know of a speaking opportunity that you can take advantage of. This is about creating synergy and about creating exchanges between people. It's not always about going for the throat and trying to get someone to buy from you.
All right. So I love all this. It clearly sounds like you have got your process and what you focus on a daily and weekly basis super dialed in. So with all this amazing content today, our listeners are probably thinking, okay, great, this is fabulous. Now, what do I go do? What do I focus on every day, every week inside my business so that I'm not overwhelmed? So kind of in closing here, what would be the top 2 to 3 activities that our listeners really need to be focusing on repeatedly over and over and over again every single week to generate leads, high-level leads that convert into clients?
So 1, go out and actually connect with people. It's the easiest thing you can do. You look on Facebook, you looked on LinkedIn, easy thing to do, go out and connect. You also want to make sure your profile is positioned, with authority and expertise, but neither here nor there. Go out and actually connect with people. And 2, have the conversation. So how do you have the conversation? I'm going to give you 2 little examples. You have the conversation like this, with the person. But don't forget that your content is having conversations with people without you realizing. So what happens when you meet someone? You're going to go check them out. You're going to look at their website. You're going to look at their Facebook profile. You're going to look at their LinkedIn profile. You're going to look at the articles. You're going to see the last thing they commented on. You're going to see stuff about them. So your content is a way to have conversations with people. It's a way for them to qualify themselves and see whether or not you all align in terms of values. So I actually have something to help people jumpstart some of the leads that they have in their business.
Tell us.
Okay. So if you go to actionincubator.com/jumpstart, actionincubator.com/jumpstart, it's actually what you can start using to generate fast quality leads who are ready to buy from you right now. I've got how to break out your hour a day in terms of filling your pipeline. It includes how to, the kind of posts that you want to put out there in terms of content to be able to get people to raise their hand who are ready to buy from you now. And it shows you my client copy close system to be able to get people to engage you right now and say, yes, I'm ready to talk to you about your offer. So all of those are included in the Jumpstart program. And that I'm giving to you guys for free. It's usually $500. And, we're talking to another lead boss over here, right? And so she knows how to have the conversation and connect and close me into giving you guys stuff for free.
Awesome. And that was actionincubator.com/jumpstart. Okay, cool. It's literally scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So if you're listening right now,
you're so good.
Like literally go there right now. So like we'll pause for 10 seconds, open up a new browser, type that in your URL right now. I'm sure you have to like enter your name and your email and press the submit button, but don't leave this until you go opt into that right now, because it's going to get you moving in the right direction, super focused on the basic foundations. And that's really the key, Kat. And I hope that's what everybody has really gotten also from this. I'm a big like sports fan. I don't sit around and watch sports, but I grew up being an athlete. My brother was an athlete. Yeah. And I use a lot of athletic analogies in my content and copy and all that stuff. And I was writing an email, I think it was like 2 days ago. And in the email I was writing about LeBron James. And it's like, why do you think LeBron James or like a Michael Jordan is so good at their craft? And when you hear about like the best basketball players, the best tennis players, the best baseball players, and when you hear stories about how they operate, you hear that they're the ones who are getting to the gym before the rest of the team. They're staying in the gym longer than everybody else, but they're not just working harder. They're not working harder. They are practicing the basics more than anybody else. They're the ones who are getting there early to take 500 practice free throws. It's like free throws. You got to practice 500 free throws. You're a professional basketball player. Don't you already have that figured out? Well, if you want to have like an 80% free throw, whatever it's called, percentage, I don't know, you're going to go practice more. My brother played professional baseball, and now he like coaches and teaches kids and college students kids catching. And every once in a while, he'll have a parent of a teenager who says, why are you teaching my kid the stuff that you taught when he was 8 years old? He's a teenager now. Shouldn't they be doing something more advanced? And he's always like, sorry, mom and dad, what do you think a Major League Baseball catcher does at practice every single day? They sit there and practice the same exact drills they were practicing when they were an 8-year-old kid. That's why they're where they're at. That's where they're on that big of a stage, because they just focused. They decided to focus on the basics and master it and hone that craft better than anybody else was willing to do it. They didn't jump around from tactic to tactic, strategy to strategy. They focus on the basics. And I'm spending time talking about this because I want people to download your gift here, because that's what Kat is all about. She's all about focusing on the basics, getting those foundations in place and rinsing and repeating them to the tune of 1 to 2 high quality leads a week, and then closing those. I mean, your life would probably change if you were generating like 3 to 5K a week in your business. That's amazing. Awesome, Kat. Super cool. Thank you so much.
Exactly. Thanks.
Yeah. Awesome.
I really appreciate you. You guys, you're so amazing. This event's amazing.
Awesome. And if anyone has questions, pop them into the comment section. I'm sure Kat will like circle back around and see what questions you have. I'm sure she's happy to come in and answer a few of those. Thank you so much, Kat, for kicking off our Leadership Innovation Action interview series.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm in your Facebook group. So totally, like, guys, any questions you have, tag me. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're so welcome. All right. Bye, everybody.